So there's a new Predator movie out, so I figured a better time to check out the timeline of that series than right now. We're not only going to check out the Predator series, but we're also going to check out the Aliens vs. Predator series, and I'll explain why in this video. But in the meantime, let's go on the hunt for some continuity. The hunt begins in 1987 with the original Predator. We meet Action Jackson and some governor, and then the governor. This happens. And Dutch's crew heads down to Central America somewhere. They take out a group of insurgents, but it's clear that they're being hunted by something else. Dawkins is the first to go, but don't worry, he has Lethal Weapon movies to write. And the body gets his body blasted. The killer has a cloaking device that makes him invisible, and he also has a laser beam, a cool helmet, and dreadlocks. It takes out Mac, and then Creed gets disarmed. You know, you get that arm and some potatoes, and you got yourself a stew going. Billy decides to take it on one-on-one, but it doesn't go so well. Other guy dies, and Arnold inspires every bad impression of himself ever.
Get to the chopper!
Get to the chopper!
Get to the chopper!
Get to the chopper!
Get to the chopper.
Get to the chopper!
And we discover the Predator's vision is based on heat. Dutch Kevin McAllister's the jungle, and after a nice battle, the big guy reveals his true face, and Arnold's right.
You one ugly motherfucker.
And also looks nothing like Jean-Claude Van Damme anymore. Dutch gets the upper hand, crushing the Predator, so it self-destructs with Arnold standing victorious. 3 years later, in 1990, the hunt continues in Predator 2. We kick off in Los Angeles in 1997, and Jerry Springer 1.0 shows up, and Detective Murtaugh. A new Predator is apparently in town, killing gangsters, and Robert Davi shows up. Yes, this is Robert Davi, not Andrew Divoff. See, I know the difference. And then the late, great Chet Hudson shows up, and this weirdo, who Murtaugh has a strong reason to dislike. Jane pops in, and after some more hijinks, just like real life, Bill Paxton is taken too soon. Aw, too soon. The Predator spares his partner's life because she's pregnant, demonstrating more of their hunter's code. The government is after the Predator, and Gary Busey shows up in Saran Wrap to say that 2 people survived the first attack 10 years ago, setting the first film in 1987. And they have a plan to capture the big guy, which goes about as well as you can expect. And leads to Harrigan uncovering its slightly modified face. When the final battle doesn't go his way, he tries to self-destruct, but his device gets destroyed, and Harrigan refers to the Predator as having a pussy face, which I'm going to bring up again later. They end up in its ship, where it keeps trophies, including a xenomorph head, an Easter egg that turned into its own franchise, and Harrigan slices El Rasta head open, and suddenly a whole mob of Predators shows up because I guess they were just hanging out in the ship, and they acknowledge Harrigan as the better warrior and leave. Well, that alien skull in the ship caused an uproar, and the 2 franchises became forever linked. A comic series inspired the eventual film version, although it took until 2004 to see Aliens vs. Predator. It kicks off in 1904 in Antarctica, and a brief glimpse of a Predator and a quick flash of Xenomorph. We flash ahead to 2004, giving us our date here, and a Wayland Industries satellite, so I guess this is pre-Yutani. A group of experts includes Blade's mom, Spud, Resident Evil's Cube victim, and Wayland himself, who looks a lot like Bishop. They find a structure deep under the ice, but when they get there, the Predators have already dug out a hole. There's a pyramid down there, as well as a frozen alien queen who wakes up and starts laying eggs. All the humans get trapped, and a bunch get face-hugged, and the expected happens, like, really quickly. In minutes, they're full-grown aliens, and their presence in 2004 and implied presence thousands of years earlier means that, according to the continuity of the Alien series, this is a separate continuity from those films. We now know from Prometheus and Covenant that the Alien as we know it was created about 100 years after this film, so we're set in a second universe in which the alien species developed way, way earlier. Characters die, this guy gets segmented, again, and at about an hour into the movie, we finally see a Xenomorph and Predator together. Side note, remember when we got to see Freddy vs. Jason, and then this movie, and we thought we were going to see a whole floodgate open up of horror icons fighting over aliens, and then, well, I guess Lake Placid versus Anaconda? Both of which I'll cover at some point. The aliens seem to get the upper hand. Wayland goes out, which theoretically could be a divergent point for the two universes if Wayland Industries ends here. The Predator removes his mask, and another side note, since Harrigan referred to the Predator as a pussy face, and the aliens' heads are clearly giant penises, could this film have a battle of the sexes subtext? The answer is no. When Lex is the last human left, she teams up with the last Predator while the drones free the Queen, and apparently calling the villains ugly mothers is the catchphrase of the Predator series.
Ugly mother.
They blow up the pyramid, escaping, and have a showdown with the Queen in which the Scar Predator is killed and Queenie is shot into space, Arctic ice. More Predators show up to retrieve their fallen comrade, who has unfortunately been face-hugged. 3 years later, the fight continued in Aliens vs. Predators Requiem, or AVP-R. It picks up right where the last one left off, so we're still in 2004, and the Predalien has hatched and kills all the Predators on board until the ship crashes to Earth. Facehuggers do the face-huggy thing, and a lone Predator heads out to Earth to help. We meet an assortment of small-town characters, and we get that horror rarity, killing a little kid. And the Predator kills an innocent man, so he's not the hero here. And it faces off against regular aliens and Predalien in the sewers, and there's chaos all over town as the aliens attack, and the first time in either series we see aliens on Earth in the general populace. The Predalien has its own form of face-hugging, which is a tad more direct, and there's no teaming up this time as both aliens and Predator kill the humans in between. There's some confusion as this hospital monitor says it's June of 06, and another one says that it's September of 05, both well after the date given from the previous film, so we're chalking that up to faulty equipment. They call the army and Charlie Lizard answers, and they tell everyone to go to the center of town, and no one thinks to just, drive away from town or anything. There's a big alien brawl, Dallas says it,
Get to the chopper!
And in final battle, Wolf takes off his mask and kills the Predalien just as it kills him, just as they nuke the whole town. Our heroes escape, and we meet Ms. Yutani, who gets her hands on the Predator's weapon. 3 years later, we bounce back to the main franchise with 2010's Predators. It kicks off with a random group of people parachuting into a jungle, including the pianist, Tortuga, Venus Van Dam, Cottonmouth, and Discount Venom. They soon discover that they're not on Earth, and have to fight a group of alien dogs, and Trejo is the first to go. They soon discover a captive original version Predator, and an Oscar winner gets killed early. We're introduced to 3 super Predators who are bigger and meaner than those we've seen before, and Isabel reveals that she's aware of the events of the first film and notes that it was in '87 in Guatemala. And then we see a modified Van Damme-style Predator creature, and a surprise visit from Morpheus. He's been there a while and gives them the lowdown, then double-crosses them, and gets exploded. Not Ivan Drago takes out a Predator, and Hanzo has a Billy moment, but fares a lot better and takes out the second one before dying. They strike a deal with the OG, or OP I guess, and the Super Pred shows his ugly mug before killing it. Eric Foreman turns out to be a dick, so Royce kills him, and then Adrian Brody fist fights the Big Cheese and kills it while looking like 100 pounds. He and Elizabeth survive as the new wave of hunting begins, and since there's no date given in the movie, we're assuming it takes place in the year it was shot, 2010. Which brings us to this year's The Predator, written and directed by Shane Black, one of the stars of the original film. This one features some Predators versus a new genetically altered Super Predator, probably different from the Super Predator of Predators, and I'm kind of looking forward to this one. Let's take a look to see where it fits into the continuity. One thing we do know, it is in continuity with the series, as it appears as if Jake Busey will be playing Gary Busey's son of the character from The Predator 2. So there you have it. It's 5 movies over 2 franchises, kinda. I like to think of them as just one solid series. They do tie together a little bit, not really, but where they do tie together, they tie together pretty well. The continuity is fairly solid, so good job on them for keeping that timeline mostly straight. I enjoyed all these movies. They're all a good watch, so if you haven't checked out the Predator series, I would definitely check it out. That's about it for this video. Hope you enjoyed it. You know what to do with the buttons. Hit the like, hit the subscribe, hit the share, do all that good stuff. Also, check out my Patreon page over here as well, too. All these guys do contribute. I want to thank these guys over here, my patrons, for supporting the channel and hoping to get it made. I got this new microphone, actually, using Patreon money, so that really helped improve the quality of the video. So, thank you for that, guys. And in the meantime, I'll see you in another couple weeks for another great video.